everybody doing? Everybody been good this week? Yeah, no, we don't have a lot of people tonight, but that's all right. It'll probably grow. Um, how has the teaching been going? Anybody want to share anything that they taught this week?
Yeah, I had my very last lesson, and it was such a bummer because
Your very last what? It's not, it's February the 22nd. It can't be
I
your
know,
last
but
lesson.
I've been putting in a lot of time, so I've already done my more
Oh,
than
you're
my
done your
25
shift, huh?
days.
Okay.
Uh, and I had three people, two of which I got them going, moving, skiing, making turns, and one woman that would not let me tighten her boots because she kept saying that it gives me cramps. And I could not get her to do anything other than if I was standing next to her and said, glide and stop, she could glide and go into a breaking wedge. And that's
Okay.
all I could do in a 2 hour time frame, whereas the others eventually like got making turns into the bunny slope. And it was is just so frustrating that there was nothing I could do to get her head. And she was so terrified.
Yeah.
And that's what kept her from just doing anything. And every suggestion she managed to poo poo, and it just couldn't, you know, what do you do in such a case?
So, Rebecca, I'm
That's
glad you said something about that because I experienced a very similar individual about 2 weeks ago. And it just happened to be one person in a group. And boy, I would work on her turns or this and that. She'd pick up a little speed and then fear set in and she went back to her old ways and then she would fall. So, Chuck, if we could throw that out to the group for any suggestions to keep and I won't bother you with the details, but I tried to get her off her mind. But if anyone has any suggestions for for me or Rebecca, obviously,
yeah.
Yes, I do. What I would do is I would bring the terrain down and I would work on the same skills because the gals are afraid of speed and probably afraid of the pitch that causes the speed for
yeah.
them. So
It,
I would reduce your terrain and maintain your skills and gradually work them up to terrain that they're comfortable with. So I finished a intermediate women's clinic, and I had three women in the group, and a few of them were afraid of pitch. So they were afraid of black diamond pitch. And what I did was I taught them survival skills before we went to attempt several of these pitches. And we worked on those survival skills, edge and release, and a few others on the head wall of each of these black slopes so that they were comfortable. They had themselves under control, speed under control, and when they felt ready, they were able to make parallel turns down the remainder. So I think that the most important is to allow the student to feel safe and secure, and then you can move on with your teach.
yeah, but we're talking about uh, flat terrain in the never ever land. We're
I
not
understand.
talking that you cannot lower the terrain because there is no lower terrain
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
In
just
in
the
Ralph's
flat.
case, there was lower terrain, but I think that regardless, if you have somebody who's afraid, whether it's picking up speed in a wedge turn, whatever it is, I I think you have to deal with their fear first
Yeah.
and then begin to teach them so that they could be receptive.
Yeah, but it's hard to do that when you have four other students that also need attention. One of the things in that kind of situation is it's unfair to everybody else to be devoting all your time to
Yeah.
this one person
100%.
that is lagging behind.
Yes. I agree. And it's hard.
It's a challenge.
It's
It's
very
very, very
difficult.
challenging. And I'm gonna say I'm gonna probably. I mean, obviously we want to go to simpler terrain, but when it's the simplest terrain possible. So I'm gonna use an anecdote I had from this weekend where I had a child. So I was supposed to be, I was supposed to be auditing somebody, and it wasn't even my lesson. And this woman had three kids. And the ironic thing is, and when I noticed kind of right off the bat that there were three different levels of child, right? And when you first interviewed the child, you're like, okay, this one's probably going to be a little bit more problematic. This one here is going to be probably pretty good. And this one's going to be like, oh, he's going to be a rock star, right? What happens when the script is flipped on you? So the rock star had the most trouble. The one you thought was going to be pretty good was like not just such a squirrel that it was really hard to direct them. And the last one that you were like, oh, this was going to be really good, ended up being the rock star. So sometimes you just don't know what it's going to be. You don't know how you're going to make a connection and you don't know what's going to happen. So I clearly was supposed to be on the outside looking in, but I ended up being in the part of the lesson because we had three kids that were off in different directions. And so I put the one child that was really, we thought we're gonna was gonna be, he was a boy. He was 11 years old. We thought he was gonna be a rock star, and he was the one that had the most trouble. He just couldn't get this, couldn't get a wedge at all. Didn't make sense to him. Every time I even put an edgy wedgie on him, it just didn't make sense to him. Yeah, he was successful going down an edgy wedgie. All people are if you spread your heels out. You're going to get a sense of control. So it was, how can I change this for him to make him successful? Because as soon as I took the edgy wedgie off, it was back to the same problem of how do I get that C word, the one thing I'm always looking for, which is control. How can I feel like I get some control, which is probably what Rebecca's asking for. How does this student going to get any control? And I just suddenly realized about halfway through the lesson, and we only have 2 hour lessons at Snow Creek. I realized about halfway through the lesson is, you know what? He's not going to get the wedge. He's just not going to. So I have to pivot to something else that's probably going to make more sense to him. And for me, it was direct to parallel. So let's go to a direct to parallel and teach him to turn where he was pointing both skis in the direction he wanted to go and just have him follow me. And, he wanted to know how to stop. He wanted to know how to slow down, all those things. He executed the first turn, and I looked back and I was like, that's it. That's all I really needed you to do was figure out how to make that turn the first time because that gave him the control he wanted, the ability to slow down, and the ability to stop. And all I had to do is just recognize that he wasn't getting the normal process and allowing him to do what he needed to do to get him that piece. So sometimes, and when the lesson was over, and that instructor who was, only 3 years in, looked at me and was like, "How did you know?" And I go, "I just, all of these things become intuitive after a while. I don't make that conscious decision. I just, well, that's not working. Let's do something else." So sometimes we just gotta recognize that whatever words that are coming out of our mouth are not working, right? And I could talk all I want, it doesn't matter. But changing the situation, changing what's going to work for them, recognizing that in this case, because he doesn't, pointing the skis together and not realizing that this is an important base structure for them. It didn't make sense to him, but giving him something else, that's the key. That's the key piece there. For me, it was, okay? So sometimes we have to recognize when we have to change. So
Well,
And also for in Rebecca's case, small successes, you know, small things. For him, it was, hey, I can turn without doing something that's weird to me. And just that little success was enough that made him change and go a different direction and got him happy. That kid was ready to quit. He was like, I'm not getting it. It's not working. Everything I try is not working. It's not working. It's not working. So, yeah, I don't
I
know.
like the I like the step turns
Yeah,
when I'm doing a beginner lesson. Just have them go straight down the hill and step into a turn just to
yeah,
try to get them in a good stance over the skis. And the next step is the J turn to try to
yeah.
get
I
them
was
to
lucky in that
feel the
case, Jerry. I didn't
turn.
have to do the step turn and step in and out.
Yeah,
Actually, that's really brilliant because I didn't even think about that was a step into the turn and then step out of the turn. That's
yeah.
actually was part of the IDP up until this last year. That would have been a really, really great resource. I was just like, hey, let's try this. Just follow me. We're going to make a turn and we're going to turn
Whatever
until
works.
we stop. And
Whatever
then he
works.
just did it. And I was like, cool, let's go the other way. And he went around the other way. He did the same thing. I was like, cool, let's go back up and try that again. And that just gave him just enough confidence, allowed him to do what, when I said, hey, let's go make three big turns all the way down. And, big being a relative term, right? I mean, I'm demonstrating like perfect round turns, and sometimes, when when you do them too good, that's not always a great thing. You want to do them just a little bit better than they do. So, anyway, that does that help any, Rebecca?
Yeah, to uh it's a matter of when you have one outlier,
Yeah,
uh and I tried everything, and I think the only success I could get out of her was, like I said, get her to glide on flat terrain and stop and glide and stop. And that was the best I could do with her. Whereas with the other uh, people in the group, I was able to tell them just go ahead and ski around the brushes and just go down, and they were, you know, very successful. So
yeah.
it's just, uh,
Sometimes we just got to find that success beat because we crave two things when we're skiing, right? We crave the ability to control what we're doing, and we love success. Even adults, they. I saw a quote earlier this last couple of days, and it was like we're all 8-year olds, and we crave success. We crave that, hey, you're doing a really good job. you know, Even when we're older and we should know better. But some people don't get that part and they just look for the success that they can feel. So, yeah. Hey, Jerry Ann, how
Sounded
you
like
doing?
you, oh, I'm sorry. It sounded like you had a very challenging lesson, Rebecca, but you're so patient and methodical. I'm sure that everybody benefited in their level.
Yeah.
well, like I said, the others I managed to get moving, and like the morning lesson, I saw them the next day, and they were on the lift and coming down Snowshed. They're never evers from earlier in that day. So it's just that was my very last lesson for the season, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth that I couldn't get this woman to move.
Well,
I
But
get it.
get
I
over
get it.
you
it.
you taught two lessons and you had success with the biggest part and you kept the other one from quitting. So I'd say
Yeah.
that's a success.
Sounds like a success. Exactly. Exactly. Sometimes we just want them to come back again, you know?
Yeah.
I then honestly with this child that I had yesterday, um, Just because he couldn't do this today and didn't make any sense, I am 100% believe that after he sleeps on it, lets his brain kind of process that movement, he'll come back the next day because he has the ability to move his skis. This just made no sense to him at all. He just didn't. And and I have to be the guy who has to recognize that. I can't ask him questions about it because he didn't know what the hell he's talking about. He doesn't know why, right? And I have to figure those things out. So that's why we still have jobs. All right, cool. So I'm going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to look at the skier that I sent to you guys, published for you guys last week. And we're going to be talking about, let me take a look here. Who has here who's doing an exam? I know David is successful. I don't see Scott. I don't see Darius. I don't see all the ones that are going for the L3s this week. So we're going to look at this skier, and it's the same guy that we had last week. And I want you guys to come up with a task first. What would be a task that would make this person more successful? And then we're going to kind of go backwards and we're going to decide why. Why is this going to make it better? And there's no wrong answers here. Oh, let me turn off the sound. There we go. And I'm gonna admit this is a pretty good skier. It's a pretty good skier.
It's just frame by frame. Is there any way that you can show it like dynamic?
Let me dang, I restarted my computer today too. Is
Or
this helping?
put it into the
I gotta put it
chat.
in chat. Or it's in actually the email too. So hold on. Chat. Hang on. Anybody else, by the way, I should ask this. Anybody else want to share anything from any of their lessons they had this week? No? That's fine. I only had like a couple lessons. God. All right. Anybody got any ideas?
This is Jerry. I'm seeing kind of a check at the end of the turn, and I think it would benefit to use a J turn and try to round that out a bit more.
Okay.
I'm seeing that she's not creating counter.
Yeah, of
And so
course.
she's scoring the turns. And if she was creating counter, it might allow her an easier initial release into the turn, although she doesn't seem to be having a lot of
Okay.
problems.
You
But
seem to be identifying problems. What would be a task?
What I would do is drag both skis.
Grab both skis?
Drag.
How would
Ski
you
with
drag this?
dragging both skis all the time.
How would you drag the skis?
What do you mean, how would I drag the
are you
skis?
are you talking about dragging the poles or dragging?
Oh, I'm sorry, the poles. Yeah, dragging the poles.
Dragging poles. Okay,
That's
cool.
why I asked about dragging skis.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sorry
Rebecca.
about that.
That's all right. I knew where you were going. Alona, you have your hand up.
So what I see in the skier is I see the skier is following the torso is following the skis. I don't see a lot of edge and release. So the task that I would ask the skier to do to accomplish angulation and edge engagement and release would be a straight run to a hockey stop.
Cool.
And I also agree with David. I believe also a J turn. I think, did you say that, David? I
No,
would,
that was somebody else who said J
oh,
turn.
That was
I would
Jerry.
also
Jerry was
utilize,
talking about the J turn. Yeah.
yes, I would also utilize that assessment activity to allow the skier to round the turns and feel directing pressure to the outside ski, because the turn is not a rounded turn, it's more of a Z shape. And there is also an A frame when the skier makes a turn to the right.
Cool. So you want to use, what was the task again?
A straight run to a hockey stop.
Straight run to a hockey stop, and you're trying to build counter.
Yes, counter and edge angle.
Cool.
I would do that with an outside ski turn and focus on building counter.
Okay. How would you do that? What would be the cue?
Uh, I'm a little confused. What do you mean? What would be the cue?
What would you highlight in the outside ski turn to allow them to be more successful from a body movement standpoint?
So if she was initiating an outside ski turn, when she lifted her inside ski at initiation, I would have her, the cue, I'd have her focus, as Mike's taught me in the past, to aim at the apex of that turn. So I would probably just draw it out in the snow and explain to her what I was saying. And then I would have her do that with an outside ski turn. And as she's doing the outside ski turn, I'd also be talking to her about generating counter as you do that, because she would find it easier to do the outside ski turn if she was generating counter. And then I would practice that. And I
Cool.
think that would bring a lot of things together, because she'd
Cool.
have an easier, well, she would be having an initial release of pressure on her inside ski because she's lifting it, creating more pressure in the initiation phase on the outside ski, which, as she practiced that and generated counter, would allow for a better C-shaped turn around, and it would improve her balance as well.
All right, cool. So let me pin you down, David.
I'm done with this.
Huh?
Just finished last month. No, I'm kidding.
So no, 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 no. It never ends. So I had two folks from my home area here at Snow Creek who went for their level threes. One passed the teach and the other one passed nothing.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I'm going to be very, very, I'm going to pin you down a little bit. What is the specific movement that you're trying to get them to change?
Fore aft.
How do you describe that?
How do I describe fore aft?
No, how do you describe the movement that you're trying to get them to change?
I would describe it by getting them to not be afraid to release their body down the fall line.
I get that. What is the specific movement? You
Use
understand what I'm trying to
joints,
ask?
please.
Sorry. Sorry, you just passed your level two and you're now in level three territory.
Actually, I have to do CS too.
Ah, yes, but there's no specific movements you have to target in CS. What
Okay.
specifically are we trying to get to change? What movement are we trying to get to change?
I'm trying to get her, I'm trying to get her to movement,
Oh,
I
you foot
want,
to foot pressure. Are you trying? What do you?
yeah, I'm thinking fore aft and foot to foot pressure. I mean,
Fore
inside
aft, okay.
or outside
Fore
ski
aft,
turn, I'm
right?
going to be focused with her because she's squaring up her turns.
Yes.
I want her to be able to get release her fore aft or release her body more forward as she initiates that turn. And at the same time, with pressure to pressure, have her really be able to feel that outside ski pressure.
Yeah, cool. I like where you're going. I'm not getting you wrong. Can we be more specific about the body movement?
Well, I don't want an extension.
Cool.
And I could say, and she's not going to, I'm going to have her keep her feet underneath her body
Cool.
so that she stays centered because as she goes from the initiation to the shaping phase, and down the fall line, gravity is going to accelerate her and open her ankles more.
Cool.
And since Alana said she's creating an A-frame there in that right turn in particular, she's got increased pressure on her inside ski. So it's a focus to get her to apply more pressure to the outside, but I don't think I'm answering your question.
No, you're not, but that's all right, right? Because I'm really getting down to the nitty-gritty parts. Keith, you have something you want to add?
Well, I was just going to say I agree that this person, for me, it's the um, separation from upper and lower body. This
Yeah.
person tends to be using their shoulders to initiate their turn.
Yeah.
I might consider working with them with something like a Heisman or something I call a teapot drill. Um,
Oh, you mean create some angles?
y- uh, yes, but
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
then like as they go through in the initiation phase, I want them to soften that downhill leg. You know, after you've crossed the point where you should be going from the old outside ski to start to getting on the new outside, there's that magic line there. I want them to soften that downhill leg. I want it flexed.
Right.
And I would
And
do that
why,
in
wait a minute,
conjunction with like a
before you go
Heisman.
any further, why are you targeting that piece?
Why am I targeting
Why
that
are you
piece?
targeting the fact that they're not softening the inside leg?
Um, it makes them bank more by not softening that inside leg, and then it puts them back and aft a little bit. It makes them harder to release the edges.
I think in this case, it's not really as much as they're putting them back, but they have to go around
I think
the extended
what,
leg, right? Because they get
yeah,
to
I think,
right here and they have
Yes.
both legs extended.
Well, and when you flex that inside leg, uh, uh,
Yeah.
usually then the outside leg lengthens.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I concentrate on the inside leg, and usually the outside leg just links, and I don't have to tell them flex your inside and extend your outside. If I could tell them flex your inside, their outside as they start the turn tends to usually extend on its own.
I,
And I
I,
think you've really kind of narrowed it down to the nitty gritty on this person because Rebecca did say that, hey, there's a little bit of separation between the legs at the end of the turns, especially on one side more than the other. I see it on both sides, but definitely one that's going more to the right side than the left side, where the skis are going apart. And I think you're really starting to target that thing that's really kind of an issue, which
well,
is,
she's not creating separation with her upper
well,
lower
she's not
body.
creating separation, but I think that's a decoy, right? I think the real issue is that she posts up right here, he, they
Hmm.
posts up on this outside leg and it doesn't shorten. So now they
Hmm.
got to steer around it, right? They have a post they have to go around. And so what do we got to do that?
Shorten it. I mean,
Well,
that's what.
no, I mean that would be the key, but what do we got to do instead? When we have a leg that's posted up, we got to go around it. How does our body behave?
Well, what about if we squared her upper body, hips and shoulders up to enter the fall line quicker?
Yes, but as I was going to say, Jerry, because we're posted up on that downhill leg,
Yeah,
that's really, really difficult.
of
Mhm.
course. But
So,
once
and I'm asking right now is what happens to the body instead when we have a long downhill leg and we haven't shortened it to become the new inside leg? What happens to the body instead? What do we do different?
Leans in.
This is very, very common.
you're on the
Inclination. Yeah.
Leans
Let me
you're on the inside.
Yeah,
I'll
you drop
rephrase
to the
that, Chuck,
inside.
if you want. How the heck do they start their turn if their leg is stiff?
If that leg is stiff, what are they
If
doing
they're
right here to
they're
start the next turn?
basically using their leg as a pivot point of which
Yeah,
around to steer, how do they get their turn started?
With the
yeah,
upper body.
yeah.
It's an upper body rotation, which Alona already talked about before.
We have the upper body rotation. So, and Mike really, really kind of nicely talked about we can either rotate the legs underneath our body or we can rotate over the top of our legs. What's this person doing here? And this is the perfect illustration point right here because every one of these turns is exactly the same.
You can see the slight wedge too.
You can see the
Yep.
slight wedge, which comes from what? Say it. I know you guys want to say it. Come on. Where does the wedge come from at the top of the turn?
Well, she's extending her outside ski out.
She is extending her outside leg, but she's got to do something to start the next turn. What is that?
Are we push off?
You
No,
guys
not
have
in this
already
case.
said it.
Upper body
But
rotation.
she's got to turn. Yeah, if
Yeah.
she's not creating separation and turning the skis with her lower body, then the only force that she can use is her upper body to maneuver around.
Yep.
Yes,
She pivots
100%.
around the inside ski. The upper body starts the rotation, and you see it in the outside ski rotating faster than the inside
And
ski.
congratulations. What is she doing? Well, not really that well, but this turned one from a basic parallel to a that really, really bad wedge Christie,
Mhm.
right?
Or a
Because she has the
stem
delayed,
Christie.
they have the delayed pressure release. They're still standing on the inside leg. They
Yeah,
haven't released the inside leg.
yeah.
Her ankles are also open.
Well, yeah, that happens too. I mean, at least at least she's not terribly in bad position, but definitely making life hard, right?
Mhm.
So we
Yeah.
have to. So the movement that you're looking for, David, is what? To the ideal, to make it more ideal, how would we make it different? And why would the
Well,
outside ski turn make that a difference?
like I was saying, if she was if she was practicing an outside ski turn, she
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to post on that inside leg
No, she would not. Because why?
because it's off the ground. She doesn't
Yeah,
have any
exactly.
support. If
Right?
she tries to post and lift her leg, she's just going to bank and fall.
She's just gonna bank and fall. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think outside ski turn, and I'm not arguing against what Jerry was suggesting, right? But the key is we got to figure out how to soften that inside leg because
I got
these
a
are
quick.
not the ideal. And I mean, right there again, if we went back to we're watching the end of this turn right here, what's the first movement?
It's an extension.
It's an extension, but what happens to the skis? I don't know about you, but they look like they're pointing at each other.
They're diverging.
Well, at the initiation, they're converging.
No, they
I was just
were
Converging.
going to say quickly diverge because they have still not shortened the inside leg enough.
so again, pole dragging rather than ski dragging in a way does a lot of that because it makes you have a short leg, long leg, and it
It
makes
forces
you
you to
keep your
change the
body
length of
down
your
the
legs.
hill.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yes.
I got a crazy question for you.
Sure. I
Uh,
like crazy questions.
well, for a short termer to end up making that change happen, could you do an old fashioned plant and hop to change that direction?
A plant and hop,
Right.
but is that
For
going to change the movement that we want to target?
Mm.
it it might work short term to get her to to change, and maybe through that she'll realize that from that hop, and so maybe we need to move our move our legs in a different direction.
Could be. Could be, yes.
I mean, if she's coming in and the legs are staying where they are, if we get her for a couple of times to do a plant and a hop, that'll shift everything, and she has to start over again.
Um, so basically what they are doing is extending already at the top of the turn, right? And at least the extension is semi-directional. The direction is this way and not this way, but you know what I mean? They're not moving in the direction of their new pole plant. So
Right.
I don't know if a hop is really gonna change what we're trying to do. Does that make sense? I like,
Yeah.
I mean, wedge turns would work really well, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Where you gotta go like this, right? Anything
And
that's
that
gonna
might be the
allow
thing.
them to feel them standing on the outside ski and then change how they align. Because
That
one of
might
the
be
other
the thing.
things I'm noticing with this particular skier is there's a lot of inappropriate ski pressure on the inside ski. And we really see it at the end of most of the turns.
Mm. Mm. I think, and you're talking, you said wedge turns.
Wedge turns would work too, because that's really, the great thing about wedge turns is we stand on the outside ski kind of intuitively, and it's already on edge, which means we've already created a platform.
Well, and if you were doing that, what I would also think if we're trying to get her to release earlier on the inside ski and not
Yeah.
post on it, I'd have her focus on the knee abduction on the inside ski. I'd have her flatten that ski out so she felt it coming around easier.
Where was that before, David?
Where was that before?
When I was asking you about specific movements?
Oh, well, I didn't. Yeah, I was thinking, I was thinking about in the initiation of the turn, if you, yeah, because it's so focused on that. If you abduct the knee and you flatten the ski there, and then the outside ski is much easier than to put on edge anyway.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
would be, I mean, I guess I was taking that, it was unconscious, but it was an assumption.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, that was the specific movement I was looking for. Really getting granular down to, hey, what do we need to do with this person? And I 100% agree. The release is kind of critical. I also believe firmly in my heart that even though there's a little bit of counter that's happening, that counter is kind of robbed as soon as they do that long extension with both legs. And so
Yeah,
they
because
have
if
to
she
create,
was abducting and release and creating an earlier release, then like Alona said, she wouldn't be doing these Z turns. They'd be more shaped.
Well, and I'm going to be honest with you too, David. The timing is off too, right? Because as soon as you extend forward, what's naturally going to happen to the skis? Are they going to release down the hill?
If you're
One ski probably will, but one
one,
will
yeah.
probably get hung up. So the release needs to happen the before we really start thinking about, the release kind of, you need to be a little bit more centered on your skis. So when you release, this tips don't automatically dig in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but the release then is going to be at the very early initiation phase.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It should be at edge exchange, right?
Yes, right after just the fluid movement from transition right into knee abduction there.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, you got anything you want to add? Mike disappear. Mike might have disappeared. Uh-oh. All right, cool.
Well, I
Um,
have something
go.
to
Sorry,
add.
Alona. I saw that your hand was raised and I
I
ignored you.
know I was being very polite.
Yeah.
So, with regard to a jump, what I would do with the skier before beginning my task of a straight run to a hockey stop is I would have her take her skis off. I would
Uh-huh.
have her jump, let her feet come off the ground, and then land in a natural athletic position and let her statically understand in her body what counter is and what flexed ankles should be, and then have her be able to mimic that on the snow in motion. That's all.
That'd be a nice static, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Help me understand, Ilona. I get the feeling of the flexion in her ankles when she does that. Help me understand how she would understand counter by doing that.
Well, because when she would land in this athletic position, I would have her land in a countered position. I would show her what that would look like and have her mimic that because it looks to me that she doesn't understand where her body is supposed to be on the snow. And I think it's hard to teach someone when they're in motion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. I mean, just backing it, yeah, I did outside ski turns, but even just prior to that, when you're talking about simpler exercises, you could just have her do thump drill.
Yeah. I think outside ski turns would be appropriate. But I hate to channel Scott. They're not the panacea for everything, but they're incredibly effective turtles, right? A, you have to align. B, you got to figure out how to spin the ski without spinning the ski,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to do an edge exchange while the one ski is off the ground. These are level 3, by the way. And yeah, they're incredibly effective. They got me to pass a number of tests. Oh, there's Mike. Mike's back. They got me to
Sorry.
pass my level 3. Outside ski turns were very, very, very important to me to passing my level 3 because you have to align over those skis. And then I spent a lot of time doing basic parallels where I'd literally hover the inside edge of the inside ski so it was barely touching the ground, just enough
Yeah.
so that I maintained my alignment and my counter throughout the turn until I learned to, when I got to this spot right here, to learn to tip here instead of sliding the ski forward and doing exactly what this skier is basically doing without the slide forward. Closing the door is what I like to call it. So, questions? Any questions on this one?
So I want to apologize. I wound up with some network issues and I had to bow out and come back.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm
And
gonna.
I got some questions. So somebody had mentioned a teapot turn, which I kind of think I know what they're talking about. And then
Yeah,
the
it
other
sounds like
one
a
that was
slopey
mentioned was
drill.
a Heisman turn. And I
Yeah,
have
Heisman
absolutely
turn.
no idea about that one.
That's a slopey.
A what?
Slopey. A slopey turn.
Oh, yeah.
You go like this,
Oh,
then you go to the other side and do this. Slopey turn. Yeah.
okay. See, I show forth my ignorance regularly.
We all
You know,
got.
and I like the concept of the outside ski turn. It does a lot, but many people had brought up the lack of counter. What about using a javelin turn to put the counter in with the outside ski turn?
Mm.
Yeah. I didn't really mention that, but yes, that would work too. So a
And
straight run to a hockey stop was the other suggestion also, if you didn't
yep,
hear that one.
and I'm trying to remember, somebody had brought it up a little earlier about the about how both legs are working at the same time and they are missing independent flexion and extension of the legs. What about something straightforward like dead start turns?
Mm.
You guys know what that is?
Yeah, he had me do that one time. He puts the pole in the back of your skis there.
Well, you quit rotating, didn't you?
Yeah, for a
Yeah,
little while.
so for those of you who don't know, a dead start turn is means you're sideways like this. And the idea is that you got to start turning the skis from a dead start. And guess what? You can't go forward when you do it because the first thing it does happens is that the outside ski turns first.
The best way to get moving down the hill with this one is to shorten that
Oh,
outside leg.
were you with me at the four? You were at the 402 when we did these. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you gotta
we had to
shorten
do
that
these turns.
outside leg.
And so you have to like flatten the ski and allow the ski to gently come around like this. And then you can't be too quick because you're going down the hill and you are naturally on one ski, standing on one ski more than the other. You had to very, very consciously and very slowly transfer weight to the next turn because if you didn't, dude, that ski would move
Yeah,
on you.
and
It was
Mike,
so
if I remember
incredibly
right,
difficult to do. Yes.
yeah, if I remember right, Mike would put the ski pole toward the side of your uphill ski there, and he said, "Don't hit that pole." So there's no way you could stem. You had to really release.
Yeah, Mike took it to another level. We didn't have to do that with Craig, but
So if your guys are starting, are you basically starting from a patient's turn to do that?
no, from a dead stop.
Yeah,
You're
you're
not
not
moving.
moving.
And then you have to release the skis down the hill. And the idea is to keep these things as French fries as possible so that the outside ski doesn't move first. You want to you want to release the skis so they both go down the hill. And then the real key is once you're going down the hill is not to try to speed it up because if you do, the outside ski turns and you end up with a pizza. And it's really really
Really
hard.
difficult.
It's
And
really, yeah, when you
to
put
make
that,
it work, you have to have a counter and you have to have your legs working independently, and it requires patience. If you get in
So
a hurry, you're SOL.
Yeah.
is this kind of your side slipping into a turn?
Not
Kind of
really,
yeah.
because you're
Kind of.
starting your turn, but you do have to flatten the skis to get started. But if you side slip, I guess you could say there is some side slip in there, but it's only going to be mere inches.
Yeah, it's you're trying to get the tips to move down first before the tails. So as I was saying before, there is a sequence of operations in there. The release happens before we start to move forward. Because if we move forward before we release, well, guess what happens? The outside ski is probably going to move first.
And then you hit the pole that he put there.
And then
Yeah,
you hit
because
the
people
pole and
like to
Mike's really angry.
rotate to get that when they're going that slow. The first thing they like to do is rotate the upper body, which rotates the
Yeah.
outside ski, knocking the pole on the ground. And when they do that, then they have to buy me new poles.
All right, cool. I think we beat up this poor guy enough. Let's move on. I've got 3 breakout rooms. Alona, could you go ahead and run one? Mike, I'm going to put you in with another group, and then I'll go ahead and run the third. All right?
God, would you trust me?
I trust you, Mike. I'm pretty sure you're capable. All right, go to your rooms.
One eternity later.
All right, cool. Who wants to go first?
We'll go first.
All right, cool. Which skier did you have?
We had a skier who began, I don't know, he began the turns with a straight run in blue.
You had a blue jacket? All right, cool.
Yes.
So good. All right, I got that skier up. Who's going to talk?
Where is the skier?
Is this the skier here?
Yes, that is a skier.
That's the skier. All right, cool. I'm going to make it a little smaller. Whoops. Hold on. I got to do this again. Whew. We found a new gold mine of skiers. We're going to be using a lot of these skiers because these are actually this year. All right. So who wants to talk about this skier? And what's the drill we're going to do?
Okay, so I'll start to summarize. We found that the skier begins turns. This wasn't our skier.
It wasn't your skier?
No.
All right,
That was our skier.
That was your skier? All right, cool. Oh,
So
shit.
why don't you go first? That
Was this your skier?
That was our group.
That was your group? Is this your group, Alona?
No.
That's ours, Gumby. That's
That's
ours.
yours. This has got to be yours, Alona.
No.
No? This skier?
No, there's one where there's a white pants next to them.
This one was with David and the guy from Deer Valley.
Our example was from Steamboat.
Yeah, they're all from Steamboat. That's the
Oh.
problem.
Oh, I see.
Was it
That
this
was
skier?
not our
No.
skier.
No? Well, it's got to be one of these 4 because
Yeah, the one zipping straight down.
Who
Wasn't really turning.
turns side to side, who inclines side to side.
geez, that could be any of them. They're all about the same like that. Hold on. And it was.
Well, whoever skier is there can go first.
Is this skier? I mean, this skier was yours?
No,
No.
It was
No.
ours.
too good.
All right, too good. And it wasn't this one, right?
No.
This is the blue with brown pants.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that one. What's this one? This is the same as this one. And so this one. What is this one? Hold
Wasn't
on.
moguls.
That's the moguls. I don't think I don't think I gave anybody moguls. This is the last one.
That one was ours, Gumby. So
That one was yours. Stop. That was the
one was
one we
ours.
looked at. So this has got to be you.
Well, why don't Alona? Maybe you can put it back
Oh, you're really
from
asking.
the chat.
Oh, gosh.
You know, you put it in the chat. Why don't you
I'm
revise
in,
it from
I'm
the
in the
chat?
I'm in the chat. I'm in the
No,
chat.
no,
All
but
right, hold
Gumby,
on,
you
let me
put
do
it
the
in
chat
our
thing.
chat.
Because you guys were the first group I looked at, right?
Gumby, the name of ours was Aspen Inclining 1% Less.
Oh, you had that one too?
Oh, good, Jerry Ann.
This is this one, Aspen and doing
Yeah, she's
1% less.
overly flexed at the knees. That's her.
All right, cool. Cool. All right. So I gave two people the same one. Whoops. Hold on. Jeez. Bam. Yeah. So we went over this one too. That's all right. Sometimes the copy paste thing doesn't work very well. All right. Cool. So talk to me about this skier.
Well, that was ours.
That wasn't
Yeah,
ours, Jerry Ann.
Was
So-
that yours?
This one is much is a good skier, better skier than ours.
This is
That's
the one
her.
we did.
Yeah,
That's
I was
her.
gonna say. All right. Hold on. I got one more. That's not it, right?
I have it up on like next to my Zoom. It's definitely her.
It's definitely her.
Yeah.
No, we had a man.
It wasn't this guy.
There was somebody coming in with white pants
Along, yeah.
long, so
Okay, this reminds me of that criminal justice class where we all have to remember what the guy came in. He was
Well, there's a person in white right there.
That's
All right.
yeah. Well, we could do ours, I guess, first if you
Why
want.
don't you guys do yours, Dave?
Okay.
Is this one here, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
What
So
was the drill?
the drill, it was either Todd or Keith said the drill was to do an outside or polar whisker.
A whisker or a swords drill? Cool.
That's
Yeah.
sword drill, yes.
Why?
This person was banking, and we wanted to get their shoulders so they weren't banking. And when you have this like whiskers or that sword drill to keep those two tips onto the snow, you really can't bank. You're gonna have to have a more flex in that downhill ski a little bit as you're going. This person would go up a little bit and then over, and so we wanted to defeat that movement. And so by doing the whiskers, they couldn't go up and over because they had to keep those swords or whiskers touching the snow, and that kept that would make them soften up that downhill leg. They would be a little bit more countered when they do that, and also by being in that position, it's easier for them to tip the skis. They're in a position to tip the skis so they can tip and turn.
Cool.
Yeah.
So can we be a little bit more specific about body movement, Keith?
Yeah.
Keith. Cool. Tell me about specifically body movement that we're targeting with the swords drill.
Well, one is the shoulders. You look at the shoulders, and that uphill shoulder is leaning into the hill. And we don't want that uphill shoulder leaning into the hill. We want the opposite of that. That shoulder needs to be like parallel to the ski slope. And this person is not doing that.
Okay.
Right now the uphill shoulders tip down. Now that uphill shoulders tip down. It's lower than the downhill shoulder.
Cool.
So that's one.
I like that description. Why is that important?
That's important because the body at that when they're in that position like that, their body is at a hard position to be able to tip those skis, especially that downhill ski.
Okay. So we're trying to be more like this, right? You got to look at me now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, got to be more like this. So what does that cause? We're going to be more like this, right? Instead of like this.
Yeah. Well, now it's easier. You have access to those tipping movements of your leg much better. Now you can soften up that downhill leg to do the release.
Right. So I can go from this to this. right? So
So
I've gone from this, maybe you can't see me. I see some confused looks.
Yeah, we can see
Holy
you.
moly, about trip to kill. All right, so we've gone from this to this, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Now your right leg, which would be your downhill leg, is now in a position where you can tip it,
yeah,
and and the ski's going to go that way
yeah.
downhill.
I've softened this leg to allow myself to move this way.
Yes,
Cool.
By creating angles.
Yeah,
it does that. Yep, it does that.
yeah. It doesn't allow us to move up, so we have to remain in a flex position, right?
Yeah,
So instead of defeating what she or doing what she's doing now, which is that extension piece and then
yes.
flexing, she's not allowed to go up because that takes the pulls off the ground.
Check.
So it's going to allow you to be more deliberate about the flexion and extension. It almost has to happen at the same time.
Yes,
Yeah, cool.
yes. It's just so much more efficient.
Then why don't we do it all the time, Keith?
Why don't we do it all the time?
Right.
Um, well, part of it is, it's always safer when you don't fear for falling so far. So if you tipped uphill and I fall down, I don't have as far to fall. So that could be part of it, especially if somebody's going fast or steep, they get scared. Then it's like, hey, I don't want to be so far to fall all the way downhill. So if I bank, I'm closer to the uphill and hey, I can't get hurt so bad.
Yeah,
Is
that's
one
not the
thing.
real reason. Hey, Keith, if you went around being flexed all the time, how long do you think you would last?
Okay. She's like banking and she's riding on that ski, so she's stacked.
Yeah, she's stacked.
When she
Granted, she's
when
stacked
she's
because she was
banking,
kind of
so
parking
her
and riding. We talked about that, right?
yeah,
Because
so her skeleton is holding the weight now.
yeah,
So
she's skeleton. So, but if we were flexed all the time, it's just physically demanding.
Hmm.
yes,
It's like the old adage I have. I have lazy ski instructor turns, I have ski instructor turns, and then I have performance turns.
yeah,
Guess
Hmm.
which ones of those I do all the time?
The
Lazy
lazy.
ski instructor turns.
check.
Right? Because it's hard
Yeah,
to do performance turns every single turn.
check.
Hmm.
So,
It
yeah,
is
cool.
more. You got to be more on your game,
You got to be
and
more on your game. Yeah,
you
100%.
do, like you're saying, she's stacked when she's riding that one ski while she's parking and riding, and you're using your skeleton structure to hold that weight.
Yeah.
So it's as long as you can do the turn, as long as you're still able to do the turn, because it's not too steep or whatever for you, then yeah, it's more
So,
forgiving on your muscles.
yeah. So, one of the things I would ask you probably to do in this particular case, I like the whispers drill. Can we ask her to rotate her legs faster and make faster turns?
Without doing the whiskers, do you mean?
No, doing the whiskers. We can make her do faster turns.
That's true.
Yeah. That way she isn't so park and ridey.
Hmm.
Yeah,
We got to add that rotation in and it creates steering so
check.
that it shortens the turn and then she's going to feel that.
Yeah.
Sure. Cool. All right. All right. Who had who had this gear?
We did there, Gumby.
All right, cool. Talk to me about this gear. What was our drill?
So
Ugh,
our drill for this one was uh we
this is
said,
anybody USA, man.
yep, pretty much. We said I came in first. I said, okay, my task would be pivot slips because she really doesn't separate upper and lower body. She basically her shoulders are in line with her skis, and she really doesn't have that good upper and lower body stuff. As a matter of fact, she starts the turn with her upper body. So
Sure.
trying to get her to realize, oh, I need to get my lower body, my legs to turn underneath my upper body would be a good thing. Now, I said pivot slips for this. When Ralph was in our group too, he had mentioned maybe doing hockey stops as kind of a
Stop, yeah.
maybe a little bit more of a little bit probably before pivot slips, maybe just doing hockey stops to get that like upper and lower body separation a little bit easier. But those are the two we came up with for this. And then Mike said, okay, we've got upper and lower body separation. What's another fundamental we could look at? So we went from one fundamental to the other. So we said, okay, we could work on foot to foot pressure, and we came up with I said thumper turns, just to get her to work on directing pressure to the outside ski, and we kind of went down the line there.
Yeah.
If you only wanted me to do one, I can do one, but that's kind of what we did there, Chuck. So,
All right.
And David, I also mentioned the pole drags to keep the
yeah,
shoulders level. Same thing.
Same thing here. Yep, exactly.
So specifically, what movement are we targeting? So the last group was talking about getting more level with their shoulders that allowed them to move it was basically instead of going up and over, we were moving across the skis. You know what I mean? What specifically are we targeting here?
I would say for this skier, specifically, we would target most bang for the buck for us would be probably, foot to foot pressure, because like you could see right there in that shot just before she went down the hill, she's
That's going
really
to be a
got more.
fundamental, but what specific body movement are we trying to target?
Oh,
We had multiple body movements we were playing with.
Cool.
Okay, just to start them out, we were focusing on turning the legs under a disciplined upper body, thus the pivot slips and hockey stops.
Okay, cool. I'd like them to answer though, Mike.
Here you go.
I'm giving them a hint on how to start for their other
There we
answers.
go. All right, all right. I admit that. Why? Why? What is this skier doing that is like telling me that we need to work on rotation? Under a disciplined, stable, blah, blah, blah upper body.
The fact that she starts her turns with her upper body,
the
So what
shoulder.
does that
her
mean?
shoulder.
What does that mean? I'm diving deeper. I know where you're going. I know exactly where you're going. I'm diving deeper. I want a little bit more. Yes, she's using upper body rotation to start her turns. I get that.
Yeah.
And I also noticed that the skis are turning very Z-shaped, like way more than the last skier was. I mean, they kind of switch from one side to the other. It's like she's flipping switches. I'm going to go to the right now. I'm going to the left. Going to the right. Going to the left. So what specific movement are we trying to get her to do? Mike, I think this is where you step in.
I don't want to get in trouble again.
You're not going to get in trouble. Just kind of, throw them a bone.
Okay,
Lead the
well,
witness.
you guys had talked about rotating the legs, forming some type of upper and lower body separation. So if I'm throwing you a bone, specifically, what long bone are we trying to rotate in what socket?
We're trying to rotate the femur in the hip
The
socket.
femur.
Are we trying to do it all at once or are we trying to do it slowly?
Well,
Well, did I say progressively? I mean,
Progressively, yeah. Slowly or throughout the turn, or I guess you could use progressively. I know people hate progressively. Dion hates progressively. I don't hate it. I think it's actually a good way to say it.
I would say a little bit more independently.
Yeah, independently would help
independently.
how? And what do you mean by independently? Now that you've opened that can of worms.
Well, in some of her turns, she wasn't flexing enough and extending some of the turns, she seems to be keeping the same flexion, right? They're not independent skis. They're rising and lowering at the same time.
Yeah, they're independent skis, but when we're talking about rotation, we're talking about this or this.
Hmm.
So when she rotates now, she kind of goes from here to here and here to here. And the
Not
reason why I'm
steering,
doing that is
not
because
steering
what's
is
moving is her legs moving this way or her
her
whole
her
pelvis moving?
hips, yeah,
Her hips are moving.
hips, yeah.
So that independent leg motion is I need one to twist one way and the other is going to twist the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And I want it to do it slowly, not tick, tick, tick. I want to go slowly. Because every time we do it fast, this is how we do it fast. Right?
Yeah.
But if we could
Yeah.
manage that and slow it down, that rotational piece, then we get independent leg rotation. We got one leg rotating against the other, which keeps the pelvis from moving very much.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Can I just want to ask a question. This is Steamboat, right?
This is Steamboat, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is Hazy's run, which has got to be the iciest run on that entire mountain.
Don't give them an excuse.
so one thing that we didn't talk about, David and Mike, was, and now that we're peeling back that onion, is if she were to keep her hands on her hips, and this is what I do as a static drill when I work with beginners,
Yeah.
so they don't move their hips, right?
Yeah.
Keep the hands on the hips
Yeah.
so they don't rotate their hips.
So that would have been a nice modification. And that's brilliant, Ralph, as a modification to those hockey slips or pivot slips you were talking about doing, right?
Static.
Where that continuous movement. So she can't move quickly into a hockey stop. She needs to put her hands on her hips, right? Put her hands on her hips like this, and she's going to move slowly from one side to the other like this. Because if
Mm-hmm.
she goes fast, she's just going to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can I get her to meter it out, slow it down, and give me the leg rotation I want to see, right? I know the hips are going to twist a little bit because we only have a certain range of motion. But if I can get her to do this instead, that means that her turns are going to be what shape from there on out? Hopefully, ideally.
More
Round
C-shaped.
Round the turns.
Probably going to be less Z-shaped. They're going to be more what shape?
C.
C-shaped, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's the lie we tell ourselves, right?
Yeah, that's the lie I tell myself.
Yeah.
I tell myself.
Cool. Cool. I like it. Is this making sense to everybody? We got one less skier left.
Yeah.
Hopefully it is poor Andy here. Alona, have you decided this is your skier or is it probably the next person? Is she gone?
No.
Oh, there we go. She's here. She's so enamored with what I was saying that she was like lost in my words.
But that was not our skier.
That's not
your
our
skier?
skier, but I can tell you what we saw.
All right, cool. Go.
How about
I
that?
like that.
So our skier had a very narrow stance. The skis were so close together that they could not work independently in leg action. The skier initiated the turn in a straight run, had the poles on each side, but didn't use the poles. Initiated turning action by inclining from one side to the other. And that was our skier. So we discussed that the two fundamentals we'd like to focus on would be controlling pressure from ski to ski to direct pressure to the outside ski.
Okay.
We also discussed we'd like to create edge angles through a combination of inclination and angulation. The
Cool. You're gonna
drills
go
that we
for
wanted
two.
to use would be a repeat of the static drill I mentioned by taking skis off, having the skier jump and land in an athletic stance so that
Okay.
the stance would be would allow the legs to be hip distance apart versus completely close together.
Okay.
The next we were going to do is a drill that Rita suggested, utilizing a J turn to allow the skier to understand the outside foot and pressure, and also to allow the turn to be rounded, because the turns in this case were completely Z. The skier toppled from one side to the other.
Okay.
And then I'd like to see the separation of upper and lower body. And I implemented the drill of a straight run to a hockey stop.
Okay. So how is that related to the J turn?
Uh,
Could we
the
combine
hockey.
the two together, maybe?
Well, yes, Rita suggested the J turn, which I think is reasonable, because if the skier can utilize the J turn to direct pressure to the outside
Yeah.
ski,
No, I
Exactly.
get that. They got to feel
then
that, right?
that would be an appropriate drill for the skier to improve the turn shape.
Right. Sure. At the bottom of the turn, especially, right? So
Yes,
maybe we do a question mark turn. So we go straight, then we turn this way and then do a long turn around like this. Those are
that
always really effective too.
yes, I think that would work well.
Yeah. You know, they feel the pressure on the outside ski. They got to shorten the inside ski, right? How do we take that into the next turn now?
Utilizing J turns to both sides if we wanted to
Yeah,
stick
we
with
go to
that.
both sides, or we just go from one and we almost stop and then we start to turn into the other side.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
So in our skier, the skier didn't have phases of any turn. The skier just continued straight down the fall line, when picked up speed through the entire body like a tower of Pisa
Huh?
to incline, and then inclined again. And that was the skier's movement.
Okay. Cool. Cool. I don't yeah, cool. It's hard to tell unless I actually see the skier, so so but I'm gonna take your word for it. I like the progression. I like where the progression's going because it allows you to get that feeling of both edging and pressure that are happening at the same time. Yeah. And then you can move from one turn into the next and be smooth about it. Or maybe not quite so smooth. Maybe we have a little hiccup here as we redirect at the top and then move down. That turns it into more of a smiley face turn. And guess what? I freaking love smiley face turns, especially when I'm working with folks that are scared of a particular piece of terrain that might be a little too steep for them and they don't have a concept of how to control their speed. Smiley face turns really work well.
Okay, what's a smiley face?
They look like this.
Okay.
It's like literally a series of smiley faces. But the idea is I'm just taking J turns and stringing them together. Right? I'm going from one to the next one to the next one to the next one. I use
You're
those all the
garland back
time.
and forth.
Even in level fours. Sometimes they come to level fours and they're like, I have no idea how to stop. Well, congratulations, you're going to learn today. All right, cool. Everybody get something out of this tonight?
Yes.
Yes?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Really, really helpful, semi-helpful, sometimes helpful. I really
Yep.
like to hear feedback if I can sometimes, all right?
Yes, it was helpful.
Hang on, Keith.
Yeah.
I was wanting to holler at Keith before he left.
All right, that's not a problem. Um, Anybody got anything else they want to add tonight?
I
We go a
like the
little bit
change
smaller
up there.
group, huh?
Gumby, I like the change up. It was like, hey, start with a task and then kind of work your way backwards.
Yeah,
It almost
yeah.
makes you think, hey, start a little bit simpler because I think I started a little too like way up and like a little
It's
too
really,
complex.
it's really, really easy. We do this all the time,
Mm-hmm.
David. We in the RMT level, we are always like, what task are we going to do, and then try to justify why we're doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cases where most people struggle with that, right? What task
Mm-hmm.
am I going to do? What task am I going to do? And then how to modify the task to make it more appropriate for that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes a lot of time. So don't get me wrong, but
Oh yeah.
I like the fact that we come up. It's really easy for a sim sometimes to come up with a task, but now we have to be descriptive as to why we're trying to do what we're trying to do. And that's why I
Mm-hmm.
was pinning everybody down on that movement piece tonight
Mm-hmm.
of what is the specific thing that you're trying to change in their body to create a different ski performance. And I didn't really beat you up too much on the ski performance piece, like I should have, but if I could get you to kind of identify the body part, I think the ski performance becomes a little bit more natural later on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
don't worry, ski performance is coming back.
Shocker.
Um, Keith, Keith, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. There's a guy over at Park City called Don Sears.
Okay.
Last I knew, he's in charge of the adult racing program,
Okay.
but I knew him back in the 80s. Really
Oh,
nice guy.
cool.
In fact, he stayed in our condo for a long time.
Okay.
So,
Have you hooked up with Christian Nation or Kellen Morse?
Me, Keith?
Yeah,
No.
look them up. They're younger than you quite a bit, but they're good guys and they know what they're doing.
So
Kellen
Christian.
Kellen is a level three. He and I passed together,
Oh,
and then,
Kellen.
huh?
Kellen. I was with Kellen yesterday.
Shaggy haired Kellen? Well, I don't know. I think he
Well,
cut
he
all his
also
hair.
skis. He also teaches down in New Zealand. Is that the same one?
That's the same guy. Yeah. At
Yeah, I
Cadrona.
was with him and his girlfriend in a clinic last night.
He has a girlfriend?
Well, he does now. They claim
Oh
they
my
were
God. I
girlfriends.
got to give him all kinds of grief about that.
And she's going to Treble New Zealand, or whatever.
Yeah, no, he does treble comb and Cadrona. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
small world.
So hook with him and then ask him about Christian Nation.
Christian
Christian
Nate.
Nation's another guy who came from Winter Park who's out there and drug Kellen out there this year.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. They're gonna both of them are excellent, excellent skiers. And they'll be able to steer you in the right directions. All right.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Anybody else got anything? All
Yeah,
right, cool.
very nice to hear why we're doing what we're doing and kind of drill down to more details. So
I'm
thank you.
I'm honestly, Jerry, I'm trying to change it up all the time. That
Okay.
strengthens both end of the spectrum, right? Because
Yep.
ultimately, what do? We teach, right?
Yep.
We got to know what we want to do when we see what we see. And that makes the most sense to everybody. And it was easy tonight because I don't have anybody nobody in this group today. They're all taking the day off this week because apparently Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are the days from hell.
Okay.
At Winter Park, this is level three is at Winter Park today or this week.
Oh, okay.
That's why they were all like, I'm not going to show up.
Right. Wow.
So
I
no,
do have,
you gotta let your brain kind of evacuate. You can't go full into the exam. You
Oh
have nothing
yeah.
left to do. You have
Right,
no
right,
room
right.
to be have compromise. So,
Yeah.
and I
Chuck,
encourage them. I tell them, the week before you do this, don't come in. I don't want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Chuck,
Yeah.
I misplaced one of my pages, and it's the one that would be for level one or level two, the different exercises to fix the problems.
You're looking for the IDP.
IDP.
The
Okay.
IDP, Independent Developmental Pathway. And guess what? I'm going to stick it in the chat.
Thank you.
And this is the newest one. Mike, is there an even newer one? I heard there's an even newer one coming.
There's a newer one coming, but I don't expect it until next year. Basically, the IDP, as you're going to get it from Chuck, will cease to exist after this year.
Yeah. So I already know the word on the street is that Speed's turns is gone. Thank God.
Damn. That's the only thing I could do.
That's the one thing that I refuse to do, and I would have told them to F off if they actually asked me.
Hmm.
Because
Well, you
they're
got
so
better
bad
people
for my
skills
knee,
than
it's
me.
almost ridiculous.
How late this year would we be able to try and do the online MA?
Keep looking at it. I think you can go all the way almost to May.
Okay.
I think you can go all the way to May. Updated November. Here we go. All right, it is in the chat. And you can look on the Rocky Mountain website, and this is going to be the most current one. This is going to become national next year. So just fully expect that by October, September, October of next year, there's going to be a new IDP. And it will be national. Central has their own IDP. And
As
it's on
I
the website.
understand it, what will happen, I don't know if you guys noticed, but they took all of the documentation and put them in one big file now.
Yeah.
Well, what's going to happen is the pieces from the IDP that pertain to level one will all be in the level one part of the document. The parts of the IDP that are level two will now become within the level two part of the document. And that's the biggest change. Having the IDP as a whole, as we're used to using it now, will cease to exist. It'll be only within the level that you're going for. You'll only be responsible supposedly for those elements.
Yeah.
Now, I would take that with a grain of salt, and I would bet that at least here in Rocky, if you're going for level three, they're going to expect you to be able to do the level two and level one elements of the IDP.
Yes. But the key is that one of the things that I made a mistake on when I was early going through the process is that the IDP is not necessarily, I got nothing but central people online right now, but the IDP is not just exam tasks. They are they're in there for a specific reason. And I highly encourage you to look at the IDP as a series of teaching tasks
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
because they're there for a reason. They're not there just because they're stupid human tricks, other than Speed's turns, which is just literally a stupid human trick.
Well, they're still stupid human tricks, but there's reasons for them.
There are reasons for them, except for Speeds. I see no reason for Speeds at all.
I think they're great for upper and lower body
Shut up,
separation.
Mike. Nobody cares. They're dead to me.
They also are really good at teaching blocking pole plants.
Yes, they are. Except we don't do it on flat ground. We do it on really steep stuff, which is not where they do them, which is why they become a stupid human trick. I have all the
No, they're a
excuses. Don't
stupid
mess
human
with me.
trick when you try to do a speed turn up the hill. As long as you're going down the hill, it's not a problem.
No, this is clearly the stupidest idea ever. Yes.
Which is why I do it on telly skis, but they're hard.
Yes, I'm sure they are. All right. Thank you, everybody. We're going to see you. We'll see you next week. All right. Have a great time. I'll be in Winter Park.
Thank
Yep, thanks
you.
for letting me
Thanks,
join
Jack.
you.